What's up, Trader's Edge? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option. Today, we're going to break down what happened with markets over the week. We're going to talk about how earnings have played out. We're going to look at the VIX. We're going to look at oil, gold, silver. We'll look at bonds and TLT. And then I'll give you that one stock to watch next week. So with that, let's dig in. Everybody, it was a interesting one for the week. We started off with an absolute bang. The S&P got absolutely roasted, falling from a close of 69.40 and opening, gapping down about, call it about 85 points to end the day down about 140. That was an ugly one. Where did that come from? Tensions with Greenland, tensions with tariffs, tensions with all kinds of stuff. And then magically the next day, a lot of that got solved. We absolutely boomed higher, bounced off the 21-day moving average, came back down. Next day, gap over the 21-day moving average, close the gap, and then end on the 21-day moving average. Kind of the same thing on Friday. We managed to close just marginally higher, about 2 points. On the week, the S&P lost 25 points. That's it. The Qs had a worse week than the S&P. Gap down harder, went all the way down to the 100-day moving average, but they recovered really well as well. Believe it or not, the triple Q actually ended up on the week. So after a stronger sell-off than the S&P, its rally was just as strong. Kind of the winner for the week, other than Friday, was IWM. IWM, yeah, it gapped lower, but it was strongly up on the week as of Thursday before giving most of that away to end, ever so slightly down on the week, but not very much. I would note that sell-off, little bit odd. Now, I'm going to get to the VIX in a second, but I want to talk about bonds and metals. TLT, kind of the same story, actually ended up on the week after an absolute face punch on Monday. A Dutch sovereign wealth fund came out and announced they were selling some bonds. Just saying it out loud is different, and markets didn't like it. But we bounced off that and rolled really higher. What is interesting is that bonds went up and gold went up. Gold continues to go up. So does silver. Silver bullion got over 100. SLV is now 93. I got to tell you, folks, take a look at what happened with TLT. Boom. I think gold bugs are due for a little bit of a kneecapping. Gold has moved so strong, so quickly for an asset that typically doesn't move. Since the beginning of the year, gold is up 58. GLD is up $58. I'm sorry, $62. That is a crazy move for a precious metal. Silver even stronger. At the end of the year, silver closed at 64. It's now 94. It's about a 50% move in 23 days. That, my friends, is nasty. I think both of these next week could see some pain. Now, I want to point out probably the one that you're not watching, which is platinum. Platinum ended the year at about the ETF ended up not 1980. It's now 2670, up another almost 50%. This one's under the radar. Might be just starting to take off because it's been an underperformer for so long. You got to wonder whether there's something to it. And, Micron's another one. You're seeing just bid chasing, dollar chasing out there. And I think it's dangerous. And I'm going to talk about what to do about it in a minute. Oil, up on the week. I really like oil. I really like oil services. This continues to be one of my favorite names. This is not my one to watch, but what I point out is Antero Resources, AR, massive call buyer at the end of the day on Friday. Massive. So I'm wondering whether there's some action heading our way in Antero Resources. That could be a kind of an interesting one. All right, now let's talk VIX. VIX actually closed up on Friday, despite the fact the market was up. We have about a 2.4 point spread between cash and the futures. The futures actually closed up on the week. When this gets adjusted for weekend effect, which might not be, and I'm going to talk about this for a second, but there's this thing called weekend effect where on Mondays, typically VIX opens up about 0.75%. And it has to do with the fact that we're closed for the weekend. And the model VIX uses assumes a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week trading, which isn't the case. So you get this effect where it opens up 0.75 on Monday morning, and then that kind of comes out during the week. Well, they may have priced in some weekend on Friday, so if nothing happens, we could come in with the VIX red. Keep an eye on that. I do like short vol, so buying puts in UVXY or UVIX or VXX for next week. All right, so what is that one stock I'm watching? Well, you heard me say silver and gold are overdone. Well, when gold catches a cold, the miners catch a combination of influenza, malaria, and dysentery. Maybe some typhoid fever as well. They basically become one of your members from the Oregon Trail. And super strong since the end of the year, right? Closed the end of the year at about 85.70. It's now 107. $22. Good for 22%. But notice less than gold's moved. So I think these guys, when gold pulls back, are going to get kneecapped. I'm going to be looking at puts for like the second week of February. And I'm going to be watching for put order flow, which we did see for next week in GDX. Because I think GDX is due to probably get punched in the face. So keep that in the back of your head. GDX has been so strong, and it's one that I think could absolutely pull back. All right, folks, just a reminder, my weekly wiretaps that we just launched is still in its launch pricing. You can join 1 year for next to nothing. Take advantage of this one fund I'm following. So if you're interested in joining, click the link or give us a call, 888-872-3301. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like, subscribe, leave a question or comment, and heck, throw out a stock request. Maybe I'll break it down. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe in this cold weather. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a good one.